James Gunn might destroy the DC universe, and that's a big might. I'm not saying he will, but I am saying that it could be a possibility. I know everybody's kind of excited for the new slate of DC movies, Superman, Supergirl. Even if I don't agree with all the choices that James Gunn have made for the DC universe, I will say that his slate does seem pretty interesting for like a phase 1 of a cinematic universe. With that being said, I don't think James Gunn can deliver, at least not with every single movie, and that's okay. You don't have to. Kevin Feige didn't do that, so that shouldn't be the expectation for anyone. But one big criticism that I do want to point out is that I don't believe James Gunn is that good of adapting comic book stories to film, or rather comic book characters to film. You might look at his discography and see like Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy, and while I'll admit those were both amazing movies, and he even kind of saved what little of the DCEU he could, I want to remind people that those weren't the characters from the comics. A lot of those characters didn't even have the same ideals and ideations of their comic book counterparts. When people bring up Guardians of the Galaxy and say, oh my god, James Gunn did amazing with this franchise, those aren't the original Guardians. And even the Guardians that he did touch upon, they still feel drastically different than their comic book counterparts. Now, whether or not you want to say that he made an improvement on the source material, or he just simply decided to make his own OCs, I think that's up for discussion. Regardless of whether or not James Gunn could deliver on a good movie, I don't doubt that. I think James Gunn can make phenomenal movies. I think he's a great director and producer. But when it comes to actually making comic books go from pages to screen, that's where I get a little bit worried. It was different when you had things like Guardians and Suicide Squad. You had some of these C-list to B-list heroes, and you kind of did have the free range to do whatever you want with these characters. But it's different when you have Superman, you have Supergirl, eventually Batman, the entirety of the Justice League, and all these other A-list heroes that have these established character quotas, right? I'm very excited to see if James Gunn could fully adapt these characters, so I'm not going to go judging him based off like what he hasn't done already. But I do have faith. I think James is a big enough of a comic book nerd to actually get these things right. But like I said, I'm not trying to shit on him. I don't want to. This is mainly just me trying to point out the fact that I think people should be maybe a little bit weary. He might do like a Full Metal Alchemist equivalent exchange type of beat to adapt a page to screen, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with cutting corners. I just want to be able to go to the movies and see a specific character and recognize that that is that character. If I go to a movie and I'm not saying James Gunn will do this, but I'm saying if I do go to the Batman movie and I'm sitting there watching Batman do everything fundamentally that Batman wouldn't do, looking at you, Zack Snyder, I will maybe start to get a little worried about like what the future of this universe would look like. But other than that, I'm not really super worried. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm really super excited to see what James can do. And with that being said, make sure you subscribe or I will punch you in your face. I will punch you, okay, if you don't subscribe.